From the pages of the Rassler, Fort Worth, Texas, April 19th, 1965. Price 20 cents. Printed by Lone Star Printing Company. The battle lines are drawn in bold black ink because this Monday night at the North Side Coliseum, the fans of Cowtown are promised nothing less than two gigantic main events and a card stacked with feuds, threats, stipulations, and the kind of wild Texas flavor that makes every Monday night feel like a holiday, a family reunion, and a street fight rolled into one. The front page splashed with the names Ciclon Negro and Killer Karl Kox. Two men locked in a grudge so bitter it could not be contained in one match. Not in one town, not in one arena, but right here they clash with everything on the line. Because the winner earns a contract to face the most feared man in Texas, the Iron Claw himself, Fritz Von Erich, next Monday night. And the program tells you straight, this is not just another bout. This is a blood feud, a contract war, and a rite of passage. Kox the blonde madman, Negro the fiery Latin powerhouse. The paper promising that fists will fly, tempers will boil, and one man will be carried out, while the other marches on to face Von Erich. The claw looming over every word like a storm cloud waiting to break. And as if that weren't enough, the second gigantic main event shines a spotlight on Cowboy Bob Ellis, the barrel-chested brawler, beloved by fans across the Southwest, tangling with Jack Dalton, one half of the infamous Dalton brothers, in a 2 out of 3 falls match that the Rassler calls a cowboy versus a gunslinger duel. Ellis promising to lasso Dalton and ride him into the ground, while Dalton snarls that he'll put a permanent end to Ellis's cowboy strut. The feud boiling over after weeks of run-ins, sneak attacks, and 6-man melees, and the promoters sweetening the deal by making it best 2 of 3, guaranteeing the fans not a fluke but a real war with no excuses and no place to hide. But the undercard is no throwaway, because next on the bill is the bizarre and captivating stipulation bout between respected wrestler and announcer Paul Boesch and the rugged, tough Tony Borne, where the rules are as twisted as Texas itself. If Boesch loses, he must give up his microphone and hand his job as TV commentator to Borne, putting the airwaves into the hands of a wild man. But if Borne loses, his career is over, retired forever, sent packing from the squared circle. A stipulation so serious, the Rassler devotes a whole column to it, painting the match as career versus career, voice versus ring, dignity versus desperation. One of those bouts that can only happen in a territory where imagination and violence dance together every Monday night. The card rolls on with Dutch Savage, the Oregon Wildman, taking on Silento Rodriguez, the silent but deadly luchador whose name strikes fear in opponents because his silence hides his fury. And then Kit Fox squares off with Gory Guerrero, yes, the patriarch of the Guerrero dynasty. Gory himself bringing his famous arsenal of holds and his Mexican pride to Fort Worth, while Chief White Wolf returns by popular demand to thunderous approval from the Native American fans in attendance. His war dance and tomahawk chops guaranteed to get the crowd stomping. And Jim Dalton, the other half of the outlaw Dalton gang, promises to raise just as much hell as his brother Jack, making the entire card feel like a powder keg where every match is personal. Every outcome a cliffhanger leading to the next Monday. And the Rassler doesn't just preview, it recaps, reminding readers of last week's mayhem when Killer Karl Kox teamed with the Dalton brothers to overwhelm Cowboy Bob Ellis, Ciclon Negro, and Joe Critchfield. A gang war that left bodies on the mat and grudges hotter than the Texas sun, with Chief Kit Fox, Stu Gibson, and Silento Rodriguez also mixing it up in battles that had the fans screaming for rematches. And now the promoters deliver. Because every Monday night in Fort Worth isn't just a card, it's the next chapter in an ongoing soap opera written in blood, sweat, and wrestling boots. And beyond the matches, the program spices things up with promos and teasers. With Wild Bull Curry, the one-eyed madman of the ring, sending word from New England that he's ready to storm back into Texas and tear apart Fritz Von Erich and anyone else foolish enough to cross his path. Curry's threats written in giant letters that leap off the page, while another blurb teases Lou Thesz, the greatest scientific wrestler alive, still sought after and perhaps on the cusp of another Fort Worth return, while Ciclon Negro cuts a fiery statement, declaring it doesn't matter if he faces Kox, Von Erich, or both, because he will destroy them, his Latin fury selling tickets faster than any advertisement could. And to wrap it all up, the issue brims with the texture of the territory. Commissioner Armour Stewart's name printed proudly. Kenmore Enterprises listed as producers. Lone Star Printing Company credited for the job. Local ads for pawn shops, barbecue joints, and cold beer lining the pages, giving fans a sense that wrestling isn't just sport or entertainment here. It's community, it's tradition, it's a Monday night ritual at the North Side Coliseum, where cowboys and outlaws, masked men and madmen, Indians and announcers, legends and journeymen all clash under the hot Texas lights, and where the iron claw of Fritz Von Erich looms as the ultimate destination for every wrestler with a grudge and every fan hungry for violence. From the front page to the last ad, April 19th, 1965 is a pure slice of territorial chaos. Ciclon Negro and Karl Kox fighting for the right to face Fritz. Cowboy Bob Ellis and Jack Dalton tearing each other apart in a cowboy-versus-outlaw saga. Paul Boesch gambling his microphone against Tony Borne's career. Dutch Savage colliding with Silento Rodriguez. Kit Fox against Gory Guerrero. Chief White Wolf back by demand. Jim Dalton stirring trouble. The Daltons running wild. Wild Bull Curry threatening. Lou Thesz looming. Ciclon Negro vowing destruction. And every match dripping with Texas flavor. Proving that in Fort Worth in the 60s, wrestling wasn't just a pastime. It was a way of life. A roaring circus of violence, pride, revenge, and spectacle bound together in 20-cent newsprint called the Rassler.